What if Scorpion was in Demon Slayer? What would the ninja reborn from hell fare against the demons? Would Scorpion ally himself with the Demon Slayers or continue his journey alone? That's an interesting question. Is Scorpion more powerful than a Hashira? Before I answer all these questions, we need to know how Scorpion ended up in the Demon Slayer universe. So look, in a fight alongside the successor of the original Sub-Zero, both of them were facing an evil entity that cast a powerful spell on Scorpion, sending him to another universe, the universe of Demon Slayer. Scorpion appears with magical lightning in the middle of a battle between Tengen, the Sound Hashira, and one of the lower moons, completely disrupting the Sound Hashira and allowing the demon to escape from the Hashira. However, for Uzui, Scorpion was just another enemy, since he appeared magically in front of him with mystical lightning. Believing him to be another one of Muzan's servants, Uzui begins his epic duel with Scorpion. But is it possible for Scorpion to surpass Uzui's speed? The Sound Hashira is considered the fastest among all the Hashiras, and the second strongest, only behind Yome Himejima, the strongest Hashira in terms of strength, and behind Sanemi in terms of speed, with Yome being the third fastest Hashira. And it's safe to say that if Uzui had stayed in the Demon Slayer Corps and obtained the Demon Slayer mark, he would be as powerful as Yome. After all, the Stone Hashira is quite a bit behind when it comes to speed. That said, is it possible for Scorpion to defeat Uzui in a one-on-one battle? Keep in mind that Scorpion has already fought against several enemies. His reaction time is unreal since he can teleport meters away in the blink of an eye. It's an ability that can really irritate his enemies. Besides that, Scorpion reacts to arrows and energy attacks launched by sorcerers. Sorcerers? He can also dodge firearms and high-speed magic. Scorpion's reaction time puts him close to Uzui's speed, but not completely, since speed in terms of reaction time is different from physical speed. However, Scorpion is not far from Uzui in this regard. Scorpion has already fought on equal terms against superhuman warriors like Raiden, a Thunder God, and cybernetic warriors like Sector. That alone already puts him at the hypersonic level. After all, he literally dodges lightning. But what about his strength? Is it comparable to or greater than that of a Hashira? Especially the strength of Tengen Uzui, the second strongest Hashira. We can see that Uzui, in a fight against Gyutaro, destroyed buildings and caused numerous explosions while fighting. Impressive feats of strength, not to mention the physical ability to decapitate an upper moon whose neck is harder than diamond. Although it's impressive, Scorpion's feats are just as remarkable. Scorpion can rip out spines and skulls with his bare hands. In addition, he takes on and defeats creatures through raw strength that are basically living tanks. He literally rivals titans. Yeah, you can tell they're very evenly matched when it comes to physical strength. And it would be a tough decision to know who would win this fight if it weren't for Scorpion's powers. After all, he has the flames of hell on his side. Knowing that, how would the fight play out? Before I tell you this epic ending, use your fatality on the like button and take this moment to subscribe to the channel with the bell turned on so you don't miss the next characters that will appear in this Demon Slayer universe. And hype up the video to support me, it helps me a lot. We're in this together, so check it out. Tengen and Scorpion start an insane battle, both noticing a very similar fighting style in their opponent. Since they're both ninjas, the fight quickly becomes very evenly matched. However, Scorpion, using Hellfire, manages to find an opening to melt Tengen's Nichirin swords. Left without weapons, Tengen sensed that this would be his end. But Scorpion isn't interested in killing him. He wants to return to his battle alongside Sub-Zero. So he asks Tengen questions to get him back to the battle. Tengen doesn't understand anything at all. When Scorpion starts explaining his fight and how he ended up in the middle of Tengen's battle, both of them, after a conversation, start to realize the situation. I know some of you might be wondering, but wasn't Scorpion ruthless against his enemies? Why didn't he finish off Tengen when he had the chance? Look, Scorpion used to be like that once when he was seeking revenge against the original Sub-Zero, but realizing that he had made a terrible mistake, he decided to start his journey in search of redemption, this time listening to the other side of the story. Since the first time when he killed the original Sub-Zero, the brother of the current Sub-Zero who inherited his mantle, he had gone down his path of vengeance against the wrong person. So Tengen decides to help him, obviously with some hesitation. After all, he knows how cruel and cunning ninjas can be. That's exactly why Tengen thinks about gathering the Hashiras in a place far from the headquarters of the Demon Slayer Corps so they can all evaluate Scorpion's situation together, because it could still be a plan by Muzan until the sun rises and Scorpion is not disintegrated by the sun, nor is he harmed by it. Seeing that the situation is more complex than he imagined, Tengen takes him to the Demon Slayer Corps, since Buyashiki might be able to answer his questions. When Scorpion finally gets his answers, he realizes that he needs to find Muzan, the king of the demons, so that he can find a demon capable of helping him return to his universe. Joining the Demon Slayer Corps, Tengen and Scorpion work together. After all, Tengen wants to keep an eye on the ninja from hell, and since they've already fought once, Tengen knows his moves, which makes him think he can handle Scorpion. However, Scorpion still hasn't shown all of his powers, and we'll see them all soon. Until then, stay tuned. Rumors started to spread within the Demon Slayer Corps about a hunter who defeated Tengen, one of the strongest Hashiras. And not only that, he was a cursed hunter, a hunter capable of controlling hellfire. And when Tengen and Scorpion were fighting over Shinobu's girls, since Scorpion was totally against using them, the Gonpartier squad, the Kamado squad, finally met Scorpion, joining the two ninjas in the entertainment district. When Gutar appears, an epic battle begins. This time, Tanjiro, Zenitsu and Nosuke fight together against Daki, while Scorpion and Tengen fight against Gyutar. Despite the Oni's powerful poisonous blood, Scorpion has already faced powerful opponents who use poison, toxins, or acid, showing that the effects of poison against him are minimal or absolutely zero. A notorious example of this is that even after receiving poisoned attacks from Reptile, he continues fighting normally. Therefore, Scorpion manipulates the flames of hell to burn Gyutar, disintegrating every cell of the Oni. Finally, the trio of hunters exterminates Daki, marking the end of the Upper Moon 6. Unfortunately, Tanjiro did not damage his sword in the fight against Gyutar, and of course, he was not able to awaken the Demon Slayer mark either, since he didn't have the necessary conditions. Therefore, he wouldn't go to the Swordsmith village, which would lead to the end of the village and the Hashiras who would be there, since without Tanjiro's presence, they wouldn't awaken the Demon Slayer mark. This event is important for the development of this story, since Muzan would take advantage of this moment to put an end to the Demon Slayer Corps. Have you shared this video with your friend who likes Demon Slayer, Mortal Kombat yet? You better watch it, okay? If you don't do it, Muzan will come after you. When Kaguya uses his gift of foresight to wait for Muzan at the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters, while they wait for him, everyone in the Corps prepares with long and exhausting training in order to surpass their limits. Nezuko would also be ready for battle, since Tamayo wasn't able to do much research without enough blood from the upper ranks that Tanjiro collected. Not to mention the decisive factor of Nezuko surviving sunlight. This doesn't happen here. That's why, after poisoning Muzan and him taking everyone to the Infinity Castle, Nezuko fights alongside Shinobu against Duma, upper rank 2. But what about Scorpion? He's fighting alongside Tanjiro and Tomioka against Akaza, upper rank 3. Tanjiro, together with Tomioka, managed to put a lot of pressure on Akaza, giving Scorpion an opening to hit the demon with his infernal flames, completely disintegrating him. Moving forward, as they go through the castle's rooms, many of Muzan's demons get in the hunter's way. However, Scorpion, by summoning the infernal flames, sets the entire Infinity Castle on fire. When the hunters split up to find Muzan, Tanjiro helps Obanai in the fight against Hantengu, who at this point is unleashing all his power with the clone of Zohakuten. Tomioka, on the other hand, runs into Gyoko, who was fighting against Inosuke. And before Shinobu meets her terrible end at the hands of Duma, Scorpion incinerates the Oni's ice creations, freeing Shinobu from a trap. Nezuko takes advantage of the distraction to unleash her firepower at full force to burn Duma alive. However, he still resists by extinguishing Nezuko's flames, releasing icy air and a crushing pressure. With the help of Kanao, who arrives for the battle surrounded by infernal flames, Scorpion's chains pierce Duma's chest, pulling him closer and incinerating the Oni. Unfortunately, Gyomei and Sanemi die without the Demon Slayer mark. After all, they were fighting against Kokushibo, the upper rank 1. Therefore, when Scorpion faces Kokushibo, a battle that shakes the Infinity Castle takes place. However, more prepared than ever, Scorpion wraps his flaming chains around the Oni, giving Nezuko an opening to incinerate the Oni along with herself, both unleashing their flames to the maximum. They fry Kokushibo. When Gyoko perishes by the sword, Inosuke moves forward to defeat Nakimi, and the Infinity Castle falls apart. Leaving the Hashiras and the surviving hunters in front of Muzan, the final battle begins. Scorpion tries his best to extract information from Muzan, but the King of Demons can't help him. Realizing this, as a noble warrior seeking redemption, Scorpion decides to do the right thing and put an end to Muzan, no matter the cost. The battle against the King of Demons leaves many dead, even though Tanjiro unlocks his hunter's mark. Without proper training, the mark still doesn't put him in a position to rival Muzan. One of the solutions the hunters come up with is to hold Muzan so that Scorpion can incinerate him alive. The hunters try to get as close as possible to Muzan to hold the King of Demons, trying at all costs to grab Muzan even if it means sacrificing themselves. Nezuko, on the other hand, manages to grab him, incinerating him with her own flames. This opening allows Scorpion to drive his chain into Muzan and pull him, crushing his skull and destroying his rib, making it impossible for him to move for a few seconds before he regenerates. Thanks also to Nezuko's flames that were affecting him. Those seconds were enough for Scorpion to pulverize Muzan's entire body. With Muzan's defeat, all his demons are gone as well, including Nezuko, who played a fundamental role in this fight. In the end, two of the Hashiras remained alive. They were Shinobu and Tomioka. Fortunately, Tanjiro and his friends would live a happy life, and Scorpion managed to return to his world thanks to the help of Sub-Zero, who defeated the evil entity. So, Otaku, did you enjoy the story? Which character deserves to appear in this series? Check out this video I picked out for you. I guarantee you'll like it. See you there!